Narcissistic injury oftentimes refers to giving an injury to the narcissist to such a level and to such a degree that they leave you alone forever, that they spiral out, that they get into a depressed state, that they completely move away from the situation, whatever it might be. Now, oftentimes people are looking for this aspect of narcissistic injury. Can I find it? Can I get it? Can I figure out what it's going to be able to give him the injury so that he feels what I felt? This is one of the hardest things for people to think through and to work through, is because there's a piece in your healing process where you're like, I just want him to feel the pain that I feel. Now, the hard part is you might try to do this and it might backfire on you. Maybe you've already tried to do it by exposing him to the next ex and like telling the next person, telling the next supply of like, hey, this is what he's doing to you, by the way. This is what's happening. And you had to blow back in your face. Like, you went to this person, you contacted them, you showed them screenshots, you showed them text messages, he's still with her while he's texting you, all this kind of stuff. And it's gone back and forth multiple times and she doesn't believe you. In fact, she thinks you're crazy. You see, oftentimes when you go to have a narcissistic injury by warning the next supply, that person already has like ascribed to the narcissist's reality. Like, he's already convinced her that he's a good guy. He's already convinced her that you're the crazy person. So when you come out of the woodwork being like, see what he's doing? He's like, yeah, no, she's just a crazy ex. She's making all this up. She's texting herself to make it look like all these things will happen. And so you'll start to wonder and start to think, okay, what's actually going on? What do I actually need to do? So people always turn to this piece of narcissistic injury. How do I cause a narcissistic injury? Oftentimes it's trying to get back at this person, trying to make the person feel the same pain. The hard thing is a narcissist doesn't feel the same pain as you. It doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. It's just they don't connect them the same way. So like, you see someone crying, or you see a dog that's injured, or like something that produces this empathy, right? Narcissist isn't getting that. The narcissist is looking at like, okay, that's in my way, that's not in my way, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, whatever it might be. But he's only looking at what's the desired result that I can get out of this person, out of this situation. He's not looking with this sympathetic mindset. And so you think, if I do these things that would hurt me, maybe it'd hurt them. And oftentimes it only shows the narcissist that you're still, quote unquote, obsessed with them. Now, what I mean by that is not that you're actually obsessed with them. You might not be. But you're still reaching out, you're still interacting, but the thing is, the narcissist will flip it so that he feels like you're obsessed with him. So a lot of times people will try to do this and have this narcissistic injury, and it backfires. It's like, that didn't work. And he ends up continuing to think that you're obsessed with him. He uses whatever communication or whatever thing you've tried to do to him to be able to connect with the next person of like, look at my crazy ex. And as a result, you actually haven't gotten anywhere in your healing, and he doesn't have this narcissistic injury. Now, sometimes people have the piece of, what if we expose them? And this is where you have to get really, really careful, because sometimes exposure with a toxic person can get violent, can get dangerous. They can snap and then come right after you. So you need to understand, exposing a narcissist oftentimes isn't the best idea, because sometimes it will inflict you into a piece of where you might not be safe, impacting your safety, your family, your children, whatever it might be. So you need to understand, you have to be very careful with this. When we talk through narcissistic injury, however, a lot of times the biggest narcissistic injury is this piece of exposure, of the mask actually falling. Not the mask falling in front of you, but the mask falling in front of everybody, like disintegrating. And so the narcissist is like, well, I don't know what to do. You see this sometimes with some videos that get posted on social media where you see the narcissist like raging out or like freaking out. And oftentimes what's happening is this person got backed into a corner, to a place where they don't know how to respond. So they're just going crazy, because like, that's the thought process of like, I can't get out of this. I can't fix this. I can't lie my way out of it. I can't gaslight my way out of it because too many people know. What do I do? Oftentimes they go crazy. Now, I don't mean that like certifiably. I just mean like in the moment, their responses are wild, are crazy. Like, hitting themselves, like hitting their head against the wall, like trying to do like self-harm to try to be like, oh, like this isn't happening. Like it's all this piece of like, how do I turn myself into the victim as quick as possible? Narcissistic injury, when it actually happens, like narcissistic injury, then we talk about like narcissistic collapse, where they completely like disintegrate. They're bedridden, basically, like they can't do anything. Like, oftentimes it leads to this place of depression, is because so much of the identity is built up in the mask, in the version of like, oh, this is who I am. So like, this is amazing. Look at this. This is who I am. This is the hard part, because a lot of times when it's all caught up like in the mask, the narcissist is like, this is the person I'm being. And when that gets completely disintegrated, sometimes the narcissist has a collapse of like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I can be. I don't know what life actually looks like. That's where you get the closest to this aspect of narcissistic injury, is when we talk about the aspect of exposure. Now, the thing I want you to understand is, if you're specifically looking to injure another person, narcissistic injury, we'll call it that. If you're specifically looking at this, I'd have you understand that you haven't healed, and your healing process is probably going to extend a lot further than what you want. Because sometimes people think, if I get revenge, if I get back, if I make him pay for the things that he did, then I'll feel better about myself. And I've never met someone who actually feels better about themselves. Might be a moment, might be a high, might be like, yeah. And then all of a sudden you get to a place where it's like, nope. Because you're still obsessing, you're still thinking, he's still taking free real estate in your mind. You're still wasting time on a person who doesn't care for you or what you do. And so you need to understand, when we talk through narcissistic injury, when we talk through this whole process of like, hey, can I get back at him? Can I do this injury? Can I do this? There is ways that you can do this. Yeah, you can hurt anybody. Is that who you want to be? You're like, well, I don't want to be better than that because he hurt me so bad. Is that still who you want to be? If you actually want to heal, and you actually want to grow, and you actually want to develop who you are, understand that this obsession about narcissistic injury, this obsession about, will he get his karma, this obsession about, what about him getting his due? How can I make this happen? Can I hurt him? Can I expose him? All of that will not help you heal. Typically, it further locks you into the pit that you're already in, because you're not able to see farther than him. You've been in the relationship and he's been on your mind. You've been out of the relationship and he's on your mind. What if we took a new approach and we took him off your mind and we started to focus on you? What could actually happen in your life if that dynamic was changed in your life today?